Okay, welcome. So today I would like to offer a reflection. It's a question which comes from one of my subscribers, and it's to do with the coronavirus, with Covid-19, and all the fear that is causing. So today I'm going to be talking about the fear that's bubbling up and what we can do to be really proactive in starting to face our fears and move more into our hearts. So, I got a question last week. I did a talk about the Covid-19 and just talking about this sense of isolation. And in response, one of my subscribers asked me this question, said, what can we do with this fear which is bubbling up? And I'm seeing that, I'm hearing that. Well, maybe I'm not seeing it so much, but more hearing it. I mean, most people are in isolation, and we are in isolation, but as you can see, we probably can't outside, but we live a mile up a track, and we have neighbours, but one neighbour is that way 100 meters, so we are already isolated. So therefore we can come out in the garden, and a lot of our neighbours are out and about because it's farmland. So there's this sense for a lot of people is this fear, and there's fear on different levels. So one is this fear of, getting sick. That's one of the fears. The other fear is about survival. So it's kind of really one of the basic human needs about survival. And that need, personally I'm self-employed, and some of my work is online. The work I do one-to-one with clients, and some of my workshops is online, but some of my work is face to face. So I do forest school work, I also do mentoring, I do volunteer work, and I also lead retreats, and all of those things have stopped. So I can understand this sense of the fear that, okay, how are we going to survive? And so again, it's these fears which are bubbling up. So I think that's kind of normal. And it's, in the Buddhist teachings, we talk about this thing of anicca, dukkha, anatta. So anicca being impermanence, dukkha, suffering, and anatta, which is non-self. And just really starting with anicca, this impermanence, is this remembering, this meditation that everything changes. In the third noble truth, when the Buddha is talking to Kondanya, he's saying that it's Kondanya who has this realization that everything that arises ceases. One of the beginning teachers, the four teachings of Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths. So I just invite you as I speak just to breathe and relax your shoulders, open the body, and just notice when we feel fear often, we can close down. And then when we breathe, it's just opening the body, just feeling this, giving the space. So as Kondanya was saying, that everything that arises ceases, everything changes. So, what's happening at the moment with Covid-19, it's like things are changing. And most of us struggle with that because we don't really like change. So it's normal that fear comes up. So what can you do? First thing, what I've just shared with you is breathing. It's like just softening your body. You're breathing down the front, and you breathe up the back. It's like invitation to feel the fear, to give space. Most of us lead such busy lives, we do not give ourselves the space to feel these things. That's why we're busy, because we're frightened of feeling, when that person left me, or when that person died. It's like this time is challenging for many because they don't want to meet themselves. And that's why I don't say to people, you don't lean like this, you lean in gently. You feel this. You breathe in the front, down the front, up the back. So it's up the back of the spine, so breathing, imagining from the nose, down the front of the body, opening the chest, and up the back. That's the first thing, it's like through breath, invitation to feel this fear. Because what happens is it starts to shift. That's the first thing. It's leaning in. Second thing, it's like mentioned in some of my other videos about Ant Middleton talk about the fear bubble. So over Christmas, my wife and I were reading The Fear Bubble, which is essentially, Ant Middleton, for those who don't know him, is a TV guy who used to be ex special forces, and he talks about this principle of the fear bubble, saying that often when we get into a fearful situation, it's like if you imagine a bubble of fear, we get to the outside of it, and he says that at that point it's like the body is saying to us, when we feel those sensations, the cortisol, the heartbeat going, it's the body telling us to get ready. At that point we can say yes or we can say no. So a lot of us are feeling these fear sensations. We can feel them, and it's our body saying, are you ready? And at that point you could say, wow, no, I can't do it, and you step away from the bubble. What most of us do is it's like we're always in that fear bubble. And what he's saying is, like, once you've been through that fearful situation, you then must step out of it, and how you can do that is just by saying, I'm safe. Emma Seppala, in her book The Happiness Track, she talks about this of, we can't talk our way out of stress, and I would say the same thing for fear. It's difficult for us to talk our way out of it, but we can breathe our way out of it. So just even simple breathing, 4 in, hold for 7, and then breathe out for 8. And you just do a repetition of that for 5 breaths. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 7. And breathe out for 8. You do that. It's like that will help you step out of the fear bubble. And I think this is important for us to do that, is to notice, yes, it's a frightening time, and then also saying to yourself, do I have food? Yes. Do I have heat? Yes. Okay, great. And from that perspective going, okay, I'm safe at the moment. Keep coming back to this moment, I'm safe. Because a lot of fear is like the future, planning, how am I going to survive the coronavirus? How am I going to... And, nothing maybe will happen from it. It's just our fears and our worries. How many times have you spent your nights worrying about things and then nothing has unfolded? So this is really, really key, is that you take the time to kind of notice when you've gone into your fear and just stepping out of it. That's the second thing. The third thing for me is like this idea, this principle about you leading life rather than life leading you. Most of us get up in the morning, we turn our phones on. We let the events of the day, what Boris Johnson or Donald Trump have decided, and we go into our fear. What I am suggesting is that you start to lead life. So what I do in the morning, I get up between 5:30, 7 o'clock, most days it's 6 o'clock. And I'll do 3 hours of practice before I turn my phone on. So I'm leading life. I do my yoga, I do my Wim Hof or pranayama, I do my high intensity interval training, I do coming out into the garden, walking barefoot, I do cold bath, I do my visualization, my gratitude, and I'm leading life. What type of day do I want to create? What type of world do I want to live in? And therefore, when my day starts, I'm centered. Chaos is going on around me. That's okay. Just coming back to my heart, coming back to my center. So I think if you're feeling this fear around the virus, it's like, knowing that your practice is really important. It's like you've got this cup and you've got to fill the cup up in order to be able to cope with life. You know, if we always got an empty cup, so beginning, morning, if you're getting up at 7 o'clock, don't turn your phone on till 9. Spend a couple of hours really nurturing yourself, feeding yourself, doing the practices that you love to do, the yoga, stretching, dancing, whatever it is. Get into that joyful space, and then when you've got to meet, okay, how do I find work today? How do I find money today? You're in a centered space. Key. That's really what I teach my clients in my workshop. I think that's really else. I've written something else here, but I can't read my writing. So, yeah, and I think the final thing really is about gratitude. Really feeling that gratitude for what you do have. It might be you're healthy now, or your mind is clear now, or you have food to eat now, you've got water now, you're warm, you're healthy. It's like really focusing on that. It's like beginning again, letting you lead life rather than life leading you. You focus on what what is working. That maybe this is a time, reframe this time of coronas that I'm isolated. It's like learn something new. Maybe it's to really connect with your mission. What's your mission here? Right, maybe it's to support teenage boys. That's part of my mission. It's, researching it, spending time, learning. Maybe it's learning a language. It's like, yes, I want to go and help here. Giving that space to do those things. And I think that is it, really. Oh, and the final thing is tomorrow evening, so we're Wednesday today. Tomorrow evening I'm going to be offering a webinar for men, how to deal with these challenging times. So it'll be part meditation, teach some practices, and if we have time, depending on numbers, there's a limited amount of numbers I can have on it. So just be aware of that. I will send a link in order to get onto it. Either go to my public Facebook page, which is in the link in the description, or go to my website, enter in your email address, and I will send out a link before. So yeah, that is it really. Wishing you well. Like I say, if I can support you anyway during these challenging times, then please do connect to me. Go to my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Piers Cross Public, and I post there 3 times a week. So, and I'm also doing this live webinar tomorrow. So just invite you to place your hand on your heart. And it's just honouring yourself that you're showing up, you're watching things like this, you are facing your fears, and you are coming out the other side. Just breathing in and breathing out. Okay. Blessings. Many blessings. Take care.